Hello everybody, welcome to another game. Fahu playing as the Soviets on the south side of Angerville, and he's going to be playing against Quentin, who is playing as the Oster in the north. And let's have a little look at the builds. We've got Fahu's going to go for, it looks like conscript build, heavy
Yeah.
conscripts maybe. Now we saw Jezelin play with some conscripts earlier. It was pretty tasty actually for what he was doing. So maybe we'll see. Oh, that's Lend-Lease, not tank hunter tactics. Oh, sorry, I may have just given Jezelin's strategy away.
It's fine.
Whoops. But if anyone else has been watching Jezelin on the kind of observer mode, you'll be seeing him do some pretty cool things with tank hunters, which I hope we get to see in the tournament. Anyway, let's focus on Fahu's conscript build that he's going to be playing up against the MG and Gren from Quentin now. Quentin, of course, probably going to want to take the right-hand side of this map. I think it's the best thing for Axis here. You've got some buildings, you do have the double VPs and fuel munitions, whereas the left side, you kind of just get some open space, which maybe is better for Axis, but of course, you really want to be pushing those two VPs off of your opponent in the early game as much as possible.
The cutoff's
Quentin's
quite vulnerable
going
as
straight
well.
in as well with mechanized doctrine.
If you go the left side as the north, you can lose that cutoff, and it can be quite hard to take back, especially if you're versing the Soviets that can just build sandbags on that cutoff with a squad of conscripts there ready and waiting. Come at me, bro. It's kind of hard. Whereas on the right side, you got garrisons there. You can put your MGs in there. There's a fuel point you can look over. So it's pretty standard. I think you pretty much will always see the south player go left and then the north player go right, just because the cutoffs on this map are so punishing.
Yeah, I do totally agree with that, to be honest. I'm quite interested to see Fahu doesn't quite look confident enough to put his head around the corner yet at that fuel point. It's something that Quentin didn't rush for at the start of the game. His MG is actually taking place in a building that you don't want the Soviets to rush into, so I can see totally his reasons for doing that. He's now switched that, I believe, with a Pioneer, yep, and now the MG is coming up to support the taking of that fuel, so very careful game from Quentin, but I think Fahu probably wasted a little bit of time there. He could have really got behind the lines and done some work.
Can't get this fuel. He is capping up the left with the engineers, though. So it's a bit of a risky playstyle, because again, if he loses the cutoff, it's hard to take back. Soviets aren't too bad, though, because Soviets, you got the flamers on your engineers, and especially if you go Molotovs, then you can take the cutoff back. Probably the easiest faction compared to some others which can really struggle, such as US and Brits not having access to flamers and really any effective garrison clearing. I suppose now the US mortar makes it a bit easier, but this can be very punishing for, I think, Brits in particular, if you go the right side and lose that. So I like how Fahu, he's kind of splitting up his army. He's got engineers and one consort on the left, but then also he's got two squads on the right in both of those houses. So there isn't really any chance of Quentin pushing through here because of those cons are quite well fortified in those houses.
Yeah, I would say actually that's probably good. His objective is probably to at least keep Quentin boxed in and get a lot of resources up a little bit on the right side and most of it on the left side. Quentin doesn't want to risk pulling his army over from the right side, because if he does, I think he knows that Fahu has a good chance of getting behind him. In fact, it looks like he actually may be doing that at the moment, though, and I think that could be a mistake for the little amount of a territory that's actually there, relying on just the machine gun and some low-health grenadiers to defend the right side. May go wrong if Fahu can pick out that he's done that.
Both of our players have locked in their commanders. Fahu with the Lend-Lease. Probably going to be going out for a quick Dushka. Putting a Dushka in this cutoff house would be fantastic on the south right. And Quentin's had the mechanized assault. He's had that the entire game. Conscript's going to be retreating here. They were trading a little bit too long against those three squads of Grens. So I wonder why he locked it in that early. He didn't go for the assault Grens. And he's really committed himself to this commander now for not any early benefit. Oh, look at this bait. We have the engineers with a demo. That's going to be a wipe for sure. 100%. Catch you later, Grenadiers. There you go. And oh, that was a great bait there. The engineers were in a great spot where if the Grenadiers wanted to chase after them, they would have had to run through that.
Yeah, that's a really, really nice use of the demo there. And of course, a lot of people don't expect your first 90 munitions as Soviets to be the demo charge. So I think Quentin, quite rightly so, was in a good position not expecting that to be there. But again, you know, a nice pickup for Fahu. Very, very Gren heavy build though from Quentin. I see he's got another one out. That would have been 5 Grens, am I right in saying that?
Yeah,
5
it's 5
Grens.
Grens because he lost one and rebuilt it.
Yeah.
We have Molotovs as well for Fahu, which is strange to see early on because it delays your vehicles, but it will give him fantastic garrison clearing, which could allow him some aggressive plays if he's able to get this north-right cutoff and actually hold that house. That being said, though, because Quentin has the Flamer on his Pioneers, he's able to clear that house out. So it's not as punishing in this matchup. And another squad of Grens for Quentin. This is really interesting.
I mean, I think he's probably playing Company of Heroes as people were playing it a year or so ago. Strictly Colin meta. But then again, let's see how it works for him. I mean, he's using it well at the moment. I see Quentin had a very, very good push there. He really picked his moment when Fahu was occupied on the left-hand side. I think he could see a lot of the conscripts running that direction. And then Quentin pushes in, manages to take an absolutely pivotal house here, covering the fuel in the east. Sorry, the VP in the east. And just doing some really nice capping work there.
So Fahu's pretty far off a vehicle, a T-70. And with 5 squads of Grens, he's outnumbering the conscripts. And that's despite getting a wipe. So I think we'll maybe even see 2 Dishkas because Fahu has a bit of manpower floated up. And he hasn't built another squad of conscripts. So he hasn't even teched up either. So he must be floating up this much manpower for a reason. So let's see. With Flames with the engineers pop here for... That's Quentin able to clear out those conscripts pretty effectively.
Same's happening on the south side as well because we've got engineers from the Soviets. They're trying to flame through the house. I don't think that's quite working, but good initiative.
Not burning themselves in the process somehow. On my screen I can see a lot of flame hitting their own house and not damaging them.
Yeah, I don't actually... I mean, it does actually appear to be taking some of the health down. It's just not particularly...
So
damage on it there. I think Fahu needs to be very careful he doesn't lose a lot of territory here. Quentin's pulling him over to the right again, and if that happens, I think Quentin probably has enough grenadiers to quick cap the left-hand side. And that would be a bit of a problem for Fahu. So as much on this map as I'd say wasn't the right idea, I think he does either need to be strong on the left and kind of just maybe get some indirect fire to deal with the right-hand side. I don't know if this heavy con build is going to favor him for much longer.
I think this,
especially when you're outmatched by grenadiers.
This build order from Fahu would have worked much better if he could have held the cutoff house. Because if he can get a Dishka in that house, it gives a lot of great map control. Because it locks down the middle, and that prevents your opponent from rotating squads from the left to the right side because of the negative cover there in that Dishka. So it means you have to rotate the long distance around the very back of the map. So it means that you can play around with more mobility, especially as you have Ura on the conscripts. That being said, though, the Grenadiers pack up and leave, so now the garrison will be back in the hands of Fahu, who can then put that Dishka in the house, and maybe demo it as well. He's almost got the munitions for it. Would be a good way to get a wipe if Grenadiers or the MG are caught in that house. There's no minesweeper here. Quentin's only Pyo's got the the flamer, so there's going to be opportunity for some more demo plays.
Well, so we've just seen a great push by Fahu here, taking loads of the maps. Ura with the conscripts forcing the MG away. He managed to get right around the back of it. Now he's using the engineers of flames to clear some of the building, but he's going to be met with pioneers from the Austere, also giving the same thing. Dishka not quite ready to get into the building just yet, but he is supported by the conscripts. Once again, we see the 250 called out. When was the last time you saw this? Panzer Grenadiers come in with the car.
Oh, with a wipe.
A squad of conscripts. Absolutely beautiful. And now they're going over to the east to finish off the next squad. And I don't think we have 18-8s teched from far.
No, he has them now.
Oh, no, we do, yeah.
Either way, he can probably chase this one down. It's going to be a little bit slower, obviously, but with the Grens there too. More cons Uraring in for the second AT grenade follow-up. Should evac the P-Grens here. They're actually quite low. Oh, he evacs them out just in time, but the half-track's still alive. Let's see. No, he doesn't kill it. The half-track survives, and the cons have to retreat. So that's a lot of manpower bleed there from all those conscripts that went down, and a squad wipe. And keeping that half-track alive, it means that he can use it again against those Dishkas, especially if they're on that left side, out in the open by themselves. They can get chased down and wiped. So maybe we'll see some mines planted to try and discourage their half-track and punish it if it gets caught chasing after a squad.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that, especially I think we get an idea of how Quentin's going to be using it. I don't know, the AT grenades may be enough of a throwback to stop him using that irresponsibly. I think one of the best things I've seen the 250 used for after that initial shock engagement is actually loading it with Minesweeper Pioneers and just pouring the map with it to Minesweep.
Yeah, the MG could go down. Does the Dishka in conjunction with the Flamer gets it? That's going to be stolen. Perhaps the Grens are suppressed, but the other one from that house can pop out and steal it. But no, he gives it away to Fahu, and now Fahu has an MG42 as well as his own 2 Dishkas. That's going to be a great counter to this many infantry squads, which don't have any weapons just yet. Maybe Quentin should have gone for Lightning War with this playstyle. Then he could get a lot of G43s, which allow him to use his Grens very aggressively, especially when flanking machine guns and force away squads, better than what you can do with the car rifles as well as the LMGs.
I think Quentin may decide to try for a flank round here. Unless the Dishka gets in that building, he may have a good opportunity just to run around the side. Quentin's not actually capping this point here that connects him to his fuel. It looks like he's completely lost it with that unit.
It's just auto-seek cover.
Wasting valuable time, yeah. I mean, the cover is sitting just outside of it. He needs to connect himself to fuel quickly if he's going to have a chance of getting up to his late game.
Fahu can also use his fuel drops. Maybe we'll see that, get out more fuel for the Shermans. Going in very aggressively, has the clown car with the flamer. Very effective, probably not as effective against as Pigrens as far as wiping squads on retreat, but an excellent way to clear out garrisons, especially with MGs. It really allows you to put the pressure on. Conscripts will be getting a nade off here. This is maybe a little bit too deep from the half track. There's 2 cons there as well.
That'll go down to light arms fire very, very easily. He's trying to get as much out of it as he can with the Pioneers, but they may now get wiped on the retreat. There we go, the Dishka opens up. If the conscripts just stand still, they may get the accuracy enough to finish that squad. In fact, he will get away with it. Very, very lucky. Very, very ambitious with that, though. I'm not sure what he was going for.
That was too much. I thought he wanted to just force away the Dishkas, but he went for the kill on the engineers, and yeah, that was... It could have paid off if he got the wipe, but he didn't. So Fahu has access to the half track with the guards. Maybe we'll see him go for that, and then tech, or not tech for his Shermans. Or we could see him go for a T7. He doesn't even have a tier 2 building, so yeah, it goes for the half track call in. Cons could go down here. Just too many Gren squads with a nice flank, but now there's no anti-vehicle either for Quentin. All he has is the P-Grens. Maybe we'll see some Shreks be used. So there's no tier 2 from Quentin. There's no tier 1 or tier 2 from Fahu. This is just a crazy call-in game, and we'll probably see the Stug E's be called in instead of actually taking up.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Fahu's now being equally ambitious with his. It is a crazy game, but it's also quite mirrored. I mean, we've seen fairly similar things that are going on in there. It's quite nice because you're kind of seeing which player is better at doing this kind of thing. It's both disgusting gameplay, but I love it. Fantastic. But we'll see what happens in the late game, because I think Quentin will end up with the advantage. If this game goes on too long, I think he'll come into the better side of it. Fahu has been losing some of those conscripts purely to the fact that Quentin's running around with like triple grenadiers, and the conscripts are just not matching up, even with veterancy. So, very, very keen on this. Fahu needs to continue closing this 3VP drain that he has been doing. I think he needs to put a lot of focus on that to try and get around Quentin at this point.
It should be pretty obvious that Fahu's going for Sherman spam, because there's been no tech and that guard half-track call-in. It's pretty clear that Fahu is going straight for call-ins. So Quentin maybe should get telemines or tech and get a pack, because Sherman spam against only Grenadiers and a Tiger, you can just swarm that. The Grenadiers, yeah, you'll land the Faust, sure, but 3 Shermans chasing after, circling and flanking a Tiger can just get some work done here. And going for the Stug E's. So the Stug E's are nice, he's got 2 of them, but they...
I think this is dangerous. I think it's very dangerous. I mean, there are 3 CPs until we get to those M4C Shermans, and there's no AT really other than 18 aids. Like, 2 Stug E's could be pretty much pushing Fahu's base territory, I would say, you know, if they were played right. There's late retreats from Fahu still. We've got Grenadiers chasing down the conscripts on retreat. They may go down. They do manage to survive, fortunately, but now the Stug E's coming in. It's going to make a forced retreat on the Dishka. And there's just not enough time for these engineers to clear this building out. And I think Stuggy on either side of the map, coupled with the amount of infantry, that is on the field right now, things looking pretty grim. But there we go, Fahu does pick off a grenadier from Quentin, who wasn't paying attention on the right-hand side. But it's still looking pretty even, I'd say, in that sense. It's just, Quentin has a lot of potential here.
Fahu's getting really close to his Shermans. Only 1.5 command points away. That was such a big engagement. A lot of things died there. We really escalate the rate of the command points. And the second Stuggy was too much, I think. One Stuggy was great because there's a lot of pop cap away, a lot of command points away from that Tiger. But he's only on 80 fuel now, and the Stuggies are just so vulnerable to the Shermans. We're definitely going to see the Shreks, though, I would imagine. The Shreks in a house can be very effective against the Shermans. But the Shermans can just avoid them. It's only one squad of Peagrins, and there's going to be a fair bit of Shermans, at least 2. So
what is Fahu doing? Wait with those conscripts!
Oh, they're so clumped! Oh, that was an unnecessary wipe.
They were there for so long as well. That was really unfortunate. You must not have been watching that, but I mean, that was just, you know, begging for that to happen, really, to have them so clumped up against the Stuggy, of all things. Big mistake there, really big mistake. I tell you, we'll regret that. And then again, the conscripts taking a huge hit from the Stuggy. They're trying to close in, but the Stuggy's just going to keep pounding them with these projectiles. Another squad down. It's a massacre! An absolute massacre here.
Why would he go for the grenade? Where's the follow-up from that? I guess he was doing that knowing that he's almost got his Shermans. And the Dushka could go down as well here. What a disastrous turn of events.
I think it was planned, because he's now got the CP for his Sherman, so hopefully he's going to make
the blood
a job
sacrifice.
Of this.
He put his conscripts on the altar, and now there's going to be a Sherman. Yeah, okay, great, but there's no infantry left. The Peagrins don't have Shreks. That's I think, a big mistake here. The Peagrins should have Shreks by now, and the Dushka is stolen. There isn't really a flirt of manpower.
What a turn of the game, though. I mean, that's this is the thing, though. Fahu got punished. I mean, I think Quentin, you know, made such a good decision by going for the Stuggies, identifying that those conscripts are there. I mean, he knew that there's not that much AT on the field. He's just taken complete advantage of that fact. And you know, that is Fahu's fault for not getting AT. It would be a very different game if there was an AT gun on the field. And that being said, Fahu is clear ahead, like on the VPs right now, nearly double the amount of VPs his opponent has. So there's plenty of time for him to recover from that mistake.
You can talk about RNG as much as you'd like, but when you clump like that for so long, and you don't do anything about it, then you deserve that. You can do the right-click drag, and that will generally space squads out, and you can avoid the clumping that way. So you just got to always be so cautious of when your squads are clumping, especially if they're directly in front of a Stuggy of all things. So I don't think Quentin got lucky. I think Fahu made a lot of mistakes consistently and didn't react for it and got punished. Getting lucky is just, you know, sugar on the cake.
Yeah, that is a
a
very valid point. It's not like it's happening consistently. Do you know what I mean? That is something that has happened over time, and it's still early days at the moment. I would say that, you know, Fahu, if he gets a little bit of territory back, I think he still is on the good foot here. He can get another M4C Sherman out, and I think he's actually perfectly capable of doing a lot of damage to Quentin's army here. It looks like Grenadiers trying to go in for some kind of Faust there. I think the main priority should be trying to clear these Stuggies. He should be getting himself into a position where he can just isolate them and maybe take one of them down. The second M4C Sherman's now on the field. We've got this, keep going back to this half-track here, which is just completely cornered on the right-hand side. He hasn't been able to get it out at all. He's trying to find a way to rescue it. Now he's going around the back of the Stuggy. It's a good move, actually. Fixed turret means that there's absolutely nothing the Stuggy can do. He's turned it, and the M4C Sherman is coming in to take rear armor shots. It's a beautiful bait, although he isn't keeping control of the half-track, which he desperately needs to do.
Yeah, he's going to lose the Stuggy here. Meanwhile, the guards went down on the left side of the map, so even less infantry available. But the Stuggy will get the half-track in time. No, he whizzles his way around that house. That's going to be one dead Stug. So, good play, but Fahu
he may even get the second one, though. He's going for another one. I haven't seen any telemines from Quentin either, so
he's out of position.
Fahu's going to have a...
Where are the Grens?
Good run here.
Oh, the Stuggy. Oh, wow. That's a really big mistake now. Because Quentin was pretty close to getting his Tiger. Oh, he misses the last shot, but should be able to chase this one down. No problems at all. Trying to get fancy with the Dukes here is Quentin. And it's not going to really achieve too much. Maybe even wipe the Pyos here if he aims at them. That was so low. No, I think he was on prioritized vehicles there. The Pintle didn't actually fire. So that was a great turn of events. And now it's going to be M4C Shermans versus infantry, because Fahu has none. He has conscripts, he has engineers, and 2 Dushkas. It's a pretty awkward composition, but with the 2 MGs, he can hold the VPs pretty effectively.
I think, I mean, that may have been the turn of the game at that point there. Really, really impressed by that. I just absolutely loved the synergy of using that half track to turn the Stug E. It's quite clear Quentin not expecting that, but to lose those 2 Stug E's now, he has to put everything he's got into this Tiger. It's still not going to be enough on its own, to be honest. I think if, Fahu could get away with just plowing conscripts in, conscripts are going to benefit him because they can repair as well. He has a good potential to actually use them now. A couple of Dushkas I can see can be captured as well. It would be a pretty good setup for Fahu, but very impressed by that comeback.
Fahu rebuilds his conscripts. I wonder if that's worth it, because that conscript squad is delaying his 3rd M4C Sherman, and I don't think 2 is enough. You really want to have 3 when you're dealing with a Tiger, because you have to swarm it. And we have the Shreks now as well. We got some, still 4 Grens, so there's going to be plenty of support for this Tiger. It's going to be hard to deal with it, but at the same time, I think Fahu can just hold the 2 VPs. I think the Tiger can't be aggressive. The Tiger can only be defensive, and when Fahu has the 2 VPs pretty confidently, and maybe even double fuels as well. Tiger's arrived.
He's going for a bit of a rush in. Yeah, this is a little bit of a mistake there. Got to get the M4C straight out of there. Looks like the Panzer Grenadiers are starting to chase. The Tiger just misses a shot that probably would have been a killing blow there. Fahu's trying to micro this engagement out, but everything is clumped up on that side. This could be a great push for the Tiger. Manages somehow to get the M4Cs out of there, and now it's down to the conscripts. There has been enough health taken off the Tiger that they can get a snare on, but they need to be very, very quick about this. No Ura at all. Fahu does have the munitions for it. Are we going to see that 18-8? No, we don't. We see a full retreat. And that, of course, means that the half-track has to get out of there and really has just given up that side. I think he probably could have microed that to a successful engagement, but it was not to be, unfortunately.
I think that was a really bad decision. He should not have gone for that until he's had his 3rd Sherman, and he almost did. If he had his 3rd Sherman, he probably could have just committed to it. It still was maybe a little bit ambitious, but he could have made it work, I think, just muscle his way through with 3 Shermans. I mean, only 1 squad of Shreks, especially if he gets 1 Sherman to just push around the P-Gren, so they're not actually firing their Shreks. But now, Quentin has the map. He has the right side, he's capping up the left. That push was a mass retreat, which has allowed Fahu now to take the entire map, where otherwise...
Quentin's getting ballsy though, dude.
Yeah, this is maybe too much, but at the same time, the Sherman's still quite low, and doesn't even have his 3rd Sherman. He had to reinforce a lot of his infantry, so he's delayed the 3rd Sherman even further.
I honestly think Fahu's a little bit lucky to have what he has left in that engagement at this point, if I'm totally honest with that. That could have gone horrendously wrong. He was a couple of missed shots away from losing both of those Shermans. But I do think, he still has the right composition on the field. He's giving Quentin maybe a little bit too much time to get back on his feet. Personally think he could have done more with the Shermans after getting that, double Stug E defeat. But we've seen Fahu turn this game around once. I'm expecting maybe we'll get to see a turnaround again. Taking down the Tiger would be absolutely crucial, in getting a kind of sealing victory here.
What Fahu can do is snipe the med bunker. It's very exposed. The only thing he has to be careful of is telemines, and there's no sweepers. So it'd be a bit of a gamble. Maybe if he gets a sweeper out, that'd be a good idea, because the Tiger is so immobile, and if it tries to rotate over, then you can all in it when it's out of position and when it doesn't quite have the full support of the infantry, and especially if there's any AT guns, which there isn't at the moment, but there may eventually be. So I wonder where Quentin goes from here. We'll probably see him tech up now, because he already has the Tiger. He's got a nice mix of infantry. What he really wants to get is a Stug out. That'll give him a lot more anti-Sherman that he needs. He needs to be having a bit more safety for his Tiger, and I don't think a pack would do that, because against 3 Shermans they can get wiped pretty quickly. Poking up aggressively with the Shermans.
Yeah, it looks like Quentin hasn't quite decided to go in for it with the Tiger. We've got another M4C just popped in there. I wonder if he's going to make a big rush for this. He's probably got everything he needs at the moment in order to do that. It would be very interesting to see. The half-track could, of course, go around and wipe out pretty much a lot of the Dushkas and things like that. You know, I'm pretty sure the AT would be focused on the Shermans.
Oh, the half-track. What are you doing?
Good potential. Here we go. One Sherman's going around at the moment. Conscripts instantly pinned by the Dushka there. We do have a flank coming in. Sherman's looks like they're taking shots at the Panzer Grenadiers. I don't know if he's going to get this. He's surrounding the Tiger. One has gun destroyed. Sorry, engine destroyed. Second one, engine destroyed. Don't know if he has the firepower to get through this. If it's frontal shots, I don't know if they're all going to penetrate. 2 bouncers already. He's trying to get that last flank, knowing that there's not a Faust there. He can get around to the rear armor. It's pretty tense for the Tiger right now. This is a make or break play right here. The last M4C Sherman goes down. He has to make this work. Looking for those penetrating shots. He's trying to get around the back, but Quentin is microing the Tiger to make sure front armor always facing. Panzer Grenadiers coming with 2 Panzer Shreks and saves it by the skin of its teeth. Huge plays there from Fahu, but just negated by Quentin with some excellent Tiger micro on the retreat there. And this is exactly why you can't spam Shermans, you know, they don't always penetrate those frontal armors.
Very clutch Blitzkrieg. The Blitzkrieg just came up. He hit Vet 1 during that fight. And the Blitzkrieg is what made the difference between the Shermans getting the surround and the Shermans not. He banked upwards with the Blitzkrieg, and the Shermans, he just couldn't surround it. It was front armor pretty much the entire time. And without that penetration of the rear armor, the Shermans couldn't get it down. And one of them is abandoned now, trying to destroy it with the quad half-track, but I don't think he'll get this done. Gren's looking for a Faust here. They may find it too. Fahu can rebuild a Sherman, but now he's lost critical mass. He can't 1v1 the Tiger. He needs to have multiple Shermans, and he's a bit far behind in this Sherman game. He doesn't have any, and especially with the veterancy on the Tiger. Vet 2 gets extra range, it can kite easier.
I'll tell you who does have an M4C Sherman though. Quentin's got an M4C Sherman.
The Axis to Lend Lease doctrine.
Rolling that thing away so casually. Check out the German guy in there, feeling he's having a good day. He's like, yes, that was a good engagement. But that's going to be used against him, and that's a difficult one for Fahu. I think really he needs to dive. That's the I hate saying this, but it looks like that's what he's doing as well. I feel like he needs to just go in and try and get the finish. He could wait. He could consider teching as well. It's going to take a long time. It looks like he's going straight in for the dive though.
He may get it too.
He may. He wasn't on hold fire though, so he's just given himself away in the first shot, which means the second M4C Sherman, sorry, the M4C Sherman crewed by Quentin is retreating.
He's going for the bunker, not for the Tiger. He doesn't know the Tiger's where it is being repaired. That's the safe play. It's a guaranteed wipe. No threat of losing it. It could have been a Tiger wipe, but he doesn't have the information that he needs. If you go over his vision, you probably can't even see where the Tiger actually is. Yeah, you can't see it. So, nice try. Shame he didn't have map hacks like we do. But the med bunker and even the MG bunker is definitely a great way of just getting some free damage. So the Tiger's pretty much at full health now, and the Sherman wasn't denied either. So Quentin's going to have this Sherman being repaired. So it's Tiger and Sherman versus Sherman. A little bit unfair, and Stug, of course, even just to make things a little bit more one-sided. That's GG. I don't see what he can do. He doesn't even have tier 2. He can't build Zis guns. He's out of options. That being said, this Tiger is really out of position, but it's only a 1v1, which is still fine.
Do have a snare there on the Stug E. M4C Sherman going to come and try and deal with that. Does need to be careful. Rear armor, and of course the Grenadier is there for the Faust. Moving in for it a little bit, and Foe's trying to micro it, but I don't know if he's going to be able to make this work.
He's a little bit scared of the Grens. He doesn't need to be because he has enough health to take a snare. There's 2 Grenadiers now, so he can get Fausted here, but if he just went more aggressively against the Stug E, because there was only 1 Gren squad nearby, he would have been okay. So the Stug E survives. The Grens should be able to cut off the retreat here, or at least get the Faust off. The Tiger may be aggressive here. It's kind of far away, so I think looking at it, Quentin's happy just to triple cap. He's in a good spot as far as composition, territory. He's behind in VPs, but how is Fahu getting a VP back? I don't see him doing it. Maybe one of the VPs on the sides, but definitely not more than one. He can use the fuel drops, though.
Quentin with his M4C Sherman there. That's a horrible thing to play against, really. And of course, the way that the abandon mechanic works now, the fact that it was kind of fixed up a little bit so that you have to actually repair the engines and things, it makes it even more brutal when you see a unit being used against you like that, because you know that they've had to put effort in to get that out, you know, get that off the field. And
there wasn't anything...
18-8, unfortunately not working.
Fahu had nothing to deny that Sherman. All he had after that fight, he had a quad half-track, a Dishka and some conscripts. He didn't have anything to destroy the wreck. So he really was out of options there, where normally it's pretty easy to deny the abandoned wreck. It still can cause issues if it's, you know, if it's a base dive or something, but for the most part, you don't see abandon really cause that many issues because you normally will have access to something to deny it. But in this case, no, Fahu was... He couldn't do anything but sit there and watch and weep and see that the Sherman turn against him. Very upsetting. On the left side, we're going to see the Sherman here for Fahu. Probably get the VP with the conscripts here for support, but we could even see a bit of a base dive here. He can't actually kill any tier buildings because there aren't any. But he can kill squads.
I think a base wipe would actually be annihilation, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
so actually, that's one of the weaknesses with this call-in meta is that you can get yourself into a situation where annihilation is incredibly easy to do. I mean, imagine if you had artillery up. Do you know what I mean? You're playing like a strong base tier build, and your opponent was just constantly off-mapping you to annihilation. It could work.
Wow, this Tiger is out of position. He's going to be flanking it, but it'll take him a long time, and he goes for the Sherman. Can he get this 1v3? If he does, he'll be a confirmed god. Actually, he may get the Sherman here, damage engine, so he's circling the gun pretty effectively.
Oh, misses the last shot though. That's really, really unfortunate. Is he going to go for this snare on the Tiger? I think if you can snare the Tiger, you may be able to get some kind of...
Probably.
You know, you can circle the Tiger when it's got engine damage, because you know you can't reverse to get the turret trajectory to move quick enough. So there are possibilities to do that. But I mean, we're talking about insane plays here, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do it at this point with what he's got left.
He almost had a second Sherman, but it's not enough fuel. If he had the second Sherman now, he could have gone for either the captured Sherman or for the Tiger and flank it out. So almost, because the Grens had to retreat, Panzer Grens with the Shreks had to retreat, so the tanks were a little bit unsupported. But even then...
Doogie horrendously out of position there. I'm not sure what he was trying to achieve with it.
Fahu,
for some reason, doesn't decide to close the gap though, even though he's got the Dishka there to see that there's nothing else around.
I was going to say maybe he's doing it for PopCap intentionally, but I realized that it was the Vet 2 Stuggy. So, not the one you want to throw away for PopCap to get a P4 out or something. It still isn't any battle phase at all. So, I actually think Quentin's going to be happy just to stay at this max PopCap, hold the 3 VPs, and you know he can rebuild a Stuggy if he loses them. It's not a big deal. So, Fahu's he's trying. That's what he's doing. He's building more conscripts. He built his tier 2. He's building for a Ziskan. Nice. Adapt.
I think that's a
Adapting.
sensible choice.
Well done.
That's one thing that not enough people do. I mean, he does have the VP lead, so he does have a little bit of time on his hands at this point. So I think actually going for a tech to counter, especially as Quentin has come up to his max pop cap now, a decent counter would be brutal here. You know, you could really push back and also wipe a lot of veterancy off the table. So a very, very good choice by Fahu there to do that.
That'll be a dead Sherman now. The Shreks are there. Stug E can stand around and do some poking. The Tiger's on the other side of the map, but probably can finish that one off. The Ziskan's on the way, though. I think that the Tier 2 is only about 20 fuel now, so it isn't that much of an investment to back tech. It's mainly just the manpower. It'd be about 540 to get the Ziskan and the Tier 2 building. But in this situation, Fahu has plenty of manpower floating up. He can't call in the Sherman without it.
The Sticky shell just bounced on the Maxim gun. Like it full on pinged.
Yeah, it didn't
I've never seen that happen before.
So the Stug E could
Like
go down
deflect.
here. Didn't expect the Ziskan. Oh, he missed. On the right side, we have the convoy of tanks positioning up. Tiger, Stug, and the Sherman waiting for something. M4C Sherman is Vet 2. At Vet 3, it unlocks the PPSH upgrade, where the main gun fires as fast as a PPSH. It's actually incredibly powerful if it gets flanked, if it gets a flank off on a Tiger. So the Tiger's going in, as is the Sherman, looking for this HQ. Not sure what this MG42 gunner is looking to do, but at least this gun's firing off.
Yep, very interesting. I can't help thinking like maybe it would be a slightly different game as well if that M4C Sherman wasn't on the field. But one of the positives is that it is taking up a lot of pop cap for Quentin. Just the fact that he kind of captured that. It probably wasn't something he was intending to go for necessarily. There's some good play here from Fahu. I'm hoping to see some things go off. It looks like, was that a mine?
Oh, the
drove over a
telemine!
mine.
That is probably the only chance that Fahu had for this game was this Vet 2 Sherman, and it hits a telemine. Tiger's going to be finishing that one off, if not even the Sherman behind it. Damage engine on the Tiger, and there's this gun, it's just out of the range now. There it goes, dead Sherman, and the Vet 2 Sherman to take his place from Quentin. Another Sherman's going to be available any moment now for Fahu, but his veterancy is going to be reset. And yeah, that's no hope. No hope left. GG.
Yeah, very good game. What a great turnaround from Fahu after that start game as well. Just a huge plays to take down those two Stiggies, and then equally good from Quentin. I really thought he was going to lose that Tiger. I honestly did, and what a different situation it would be if that had happened. But there we go. GG.
Yeah, nice game. I think Fahu, he actually had a chance there. The two Shermans, especially if he got Vet 3 on the first one and a Zisgun, could have made some plays happen there, but that telemine, great play there by Quentin. You always want to have those telemines in the late game. You know, when you're floating up resources, you pop cap, build mines, build bunkers, what else can you do? It was
It's a
maybe...
similar telemine to the one I used to beat you the other day.
Yeah, I suppose.
Similar position, isn't it, Callum?
Yeah. Same face. I think it
those kind of things are really important though, especially when you're coming up to like your max pop cap and you are like starting to get a little bit on the resource side of things and you have a couple to spare. I mean, even if you're not doing that, like telemines, they still win games. Those kind of things still win games, and so many times you see like an essential bit of tech or a vehicle go down to that kind of thing, and it just creates such a good situation for that player. But anyway, very good game. Quentin, of course, you see a couple of players here. We've had a really diverse kind of strategies.